G'day everyone, it's Matt. Thanks for joining me on Relive Adelaide. Currently underway at Rymill Park are major electrical and water upgrade works. I caught up on site with James Finnis, Project Manager at the City of Adelaide, to have a chat about what is happening, what is open, and with sustainability being a hot topic at the moment, we discussed what sustainability benefits this project brings. The project is made possible by funding from both council and state government, and it's all part of the master plan for Rymill Park. Throughout the interview, there's also a slideshow of some of the happy snaps I took, so I hope you enjoy it. James, thanks for your time.
You're welcome, thank you.
Before all of the infrastructure upgrades are underway, how would events set up when they came to town?
It really depends on the size and scale of those events. They do it in various ways, but the big guys, they would come in with big generators, and then they'd roll out their marquees and venues around the park, and everything would run off of generator, minimal mains power, and then water would be carted in a lot of the time where supply points aren't available, and you would have access mats put over cables around the park to facilitate those events. So, yeah.
So with the there's some electrical and some water works going on. So with the electrical work, so you mentioned a lot more of that's going underground, so there'll be less of those mats over the pavement, less disruption to the public, obviously less chance of people falling over. With the electrical works going underground, are you putting in some transformers and stuff as well? What's happening with those works?
Yeah, so we're removing an old transformer and replacing it with a larger new one. We're also putting around 8 new distribution boards and 50 odd supply points around the park to make it as flexible as possible for current and future events to set up, and put all that infrastructure underground. So where we've got paths and infrastructure used to be on top of the ground, it'll now be underneath the ground in cable pits and conduits, so that you won't be able to see it, and most of the infrastructure around the place will be hidden, so people won't see it.
And as far as the water goes, if I get this correct, so when a toilet block would be set up, all of the waste from the toilet block would go into a tank, and then a truck would come across the grass through the park, pump the tank out. All of that water is now going underground as well?
Yeah, that's right. So previously it was an above ground system which would be carted out by water trucks. We're moving towards a plumbed system out to the street with fail-safe pumps and all enclosed system. So you won't have this awful smell of effluent while they're clearing it out, and it'll be safe and quicker to set up, and no more trucks carting through the parklands either.
I know that's the word sustainability is thrown around quite a bit, but what are some of the sustainability benefits of a project like this?
I guess overall having the infrastructure in the ground means less carting, less bringing new infrastructure to the site for each event, so that has ongoing benefits. And then we're extending the amount of recycled water throughout the park, minimising the requirement on limited resources such as potable water, mains water, for irrigating through events where we can't have sprinklers running, and the power as well. So less to no reliance on diesel generators through events as well.
We'll just run through a few of the things that are open and closed at the moment. So we're looking very fashionable in our high-vis vests standing by the lake. So this part where the lake is and the little cafe is currently closed to the general public?
It is, because we've got a lot of trucks trenching around the lake. We're doing about 5 kilometres of trenching throughout the park. We've got some areas where we have no works, which are open and accessible from the pathways around the park. They're to the west of the park, there's a small park where there's a fountain. To the north, around the back of the lawn bowls, there's about 500 square metres of area that's open. The accessible playground, some of the access points are limited, but it is still open and accessible and well utilised. And the Lawn Bowls Club is still open and accessible, and has been throughout the project, and will be through to completion as well.
When did the project start?
We started development of designs way back in 2019. We actually broke dirt in early June 2022, and will be completed in the last week of September.
Because we've got Cheese Fest coming up in October, so this will be well and truly finished by Cheese Fest?
Absolutely, that's the plan, and we're well on the way. We feel like we're on track to be out of here at the end of September. There's a couple of small events prior to Cheese Fest, but Cheese Fest is definitely the biggest one in October, and then there's a few big guys following them in as well.
So you mentioned obviously the big guys coming in, they would be Fringe, you've got Cheese Fest as well, but I think you mentioned before you can even have like smaller events which will utilise what's here with the upgrades. Weddings get held here as well?
Yeah, it's a pretty popular spot on the lake to have weddings. There'd also be quite a few birthdays and celebrations, first birthdays and baptisms and that kind of stuff on occasion. But yeah, there's your formal events, weddings and birthdays, right up to your major events like your Fringe, your concerts and events. The Moonlight Cinema has been in the park as well. So yeah, different scales. This park really has something for everyone.
And as far as future plans for the park, this is part of the master plan?
Yeah, that's right. So the City of Adelaide has been working with stakeholders and ratepayers for some time to develop the master plan for Rymill Park. This is just one part of that to create flexible and more sustainable event spaces throughout the park. Moving forward, there will be an upgrade of the lake to a sustainable and ornamental lake, but also there's a number of other aspects of that master plan which you can find on the City of Adelaide website to tick off as well.
We'll put a link to that master plan below, and also a map as well to what is and isn't open. James, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, thank you.